Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech, live on Twitch. Hope you had a nice weekend. I know I did. My father got me a very nice SpaceX hoodie for early Christmas because we won't be able to see each other on actual Christmas Day. So that's what I'm rocking today. No, I didn't get it myself, just to answer the questions. Thank you, Expos1, for the 200 bits. Hello from Winnipeg. Hello back to Winnipeg. And thank you, Very Complex, for the Tier 1 sub for 15 months currently on an 11-month streak. That's a long amount of time, and that costs money. You should cancel it, please. Anyway, I'm getting my AirPods Max from UPS. Have obviously not arrived yet. They probably won't arrive during my normal work hours. So if you guys are curious, probably won't be able to unbox them today, most likely tomorrow. But yeah, I am actually pretty surprised by the responses I got on the last podcast because there are a lot of people whose, I guess, simple justification for AirPods Max's price is that there are other headphones that cost more than that. That's it. That's all you guys got. Like that's all we're going with here. I got the space gray color because I thought they looked classy and simple, and they wouldn't collect dirt as easily. I don't like the green or the blue personally. It's all very subjective, I know, but I saw the colors for them, and they just not really my thing. I don't really dig that look. 10 bits from Very Complex says I went from 2 packages being delayed to having both say today. Well, that's backwards. Why would they both say? I don't know. Being delayed. 100 bits from Matt Apple says I just got mine. Literally, I cut school to get them and chased a UPS truck. Okay, well, be careful. At least wear a mask. Thank you for the bits. ATO, thank you for the 500 bits. He said, let's go. Appreciate it. It's Christmas, Drew. I'm a retired UPS man, and we would leave depot with 300 stops on average at Christmas. Well, my package isn't delayed, but it's technically not Christmas Day, but it is Christmas time. Mine has not been delayed. Mine just did not ship for the longest time, but it kept saying it would get here today, and then at the last minute it did ship, and now it's actually saying yes, it's gonna be out for delivery soon, but it hasn't yet. So, looking at the tracking info, it looks likely, but I'm guessing it's gonna be one of those later deliveries where it happens late at night, and I'm not gonna be working late at night, so as I await AirPods Max, I basically wanted to tell the people who thought I may have been too hard on AirPods Max that if they're pitching them as an iPhone and iPad accessory, then yes, $550 is way out of league, way out of the price point of iPhone and iPad accessory. If you're talking headphones that cost over $600, that's for studio use, which is not what AirPods Max are for. They're not being pitched as for studio use. The average use case is being wearing them as you lay on the couch and watching movies on your iPad with spatial audio. If they wanted to make $550 headphones justified, for one, they would include the jack accessory, the lightning to audio jack. For two, they probably wouldn't use lightning. And for three, they would design them in a way that they could be heavily tinkered and customized, and that they would naturally be flat so that audio professionals could customize them to their liking. But that's not how they're being built, and that's not how they're being advertised, which is why they're being criticized for the price. Yes, I'm aware there are more expensive headphones on the market, but that does not instantly justify any pair of headphones that's expensive. AirPods Max are already being scalped on other websites. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't like it when people do that, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say as there should be laws against that, but I know it was a bigger problem with the consoles between the PS5 and the Xbox and that kind of thing. And knowing that they set up these like bots to auto purchase like a bunch of them on launch day, and then they start selling them at a higher price. It's artificially created demand. It's just annoying. I don't like that. You know, if you're looking for a way to make money, can't you find something that's useful to people instead of just buying up what everybody wants and then selling it back to them at a high price? I don't know. I wouldn't do it. No, thank you. 40 bits from Matt Apple says also sign up for UPS My Choice and you can get an email with a live map. They don't do that everywhere. They only do that in major cities. So yeah, I'm not in a major city. I'm in a place that's pretty rural and they don't do the live map thing. Mine also shipped last night. Yeah. This is all work for you. YouTube is a job. Well, Twitch is a job now. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a joke of a job, but this is what I do full time. Do you have competitive headphones to compare them to, like the Sony XM4s? I don't, but to be honest with you, as a guy who's not an audiophile, I probably wouldn't be able to give you much insight by comparing the two anyway. So I'll leave that up to the audio professionals that actually have all those different types of headphones to compare them to. I'm just giving you my perspective as the Apple sheep, as the guy who defends Apple when most others don't, and the guy who enjoys Apple products and uses a lot of Apple hardware in my ecosystem. What does the average everyday Apple sheep think of AirPods Max? That's what I can give you. And I'll be honest. I'll give you my honest to God opinion. Can you tell is what the microphone quality is like? I'll try them. I imagine they probably should sound better than AirPods Pro, but some of that's dependent on compression and the FaceTime calls and phone call signal you have at the time. But I like Digital Crown over touch controls. I'll say that for those in the back, because I reviewed the Surface headphones a few years back when those came out, and I loved them. I thought they were great. I thought they sounded amazing. They were very comfortable, and I have tried headphones with the touch panels in the past, and I just find them confusing. I think these old, I don't use these very much, but these are old Braven headphones that were sent to me a few years ago. Not very good. Wouldn't really recommend them to anyone, to be honest, anymore. They're kind of old. There's probably a newer version now. But these had the touch panels on the side where you could like skip or rewind this way. And I just found it more confusing, and it was easy to set off. So with the Surface headphones, you had these big dials on the side that you could adjust for noise cancellation and adjust for volume. And I thought that was way smarter and way more easier to interact with than the touch panel type headphones, which I've tried in the past. So yeah, I'm all for the Digital Crown, but I think I would prefer the fully sized dials, to be honest with you, because those are larger and a lot easier to use with like one finger, whereas Digital Crown, yeah, it might be a little bit harder to use with one finger. But Matt says the box smells like banana pie, so that sounds worth it. I think that justifies the price, right? Apple, the type of company to give multiple color options to high-end headphones, but not to their cheaper AirPods. Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that more color options cost more money, so that's a exclusive to the higher price. Yeah, the SE has less colors than the iPhone 11, so yeah. But still, yeah, I agree. What is your take on Fitness Plus? That is just, it launched. I messed around with the app because I bought the Series 6, so I get 3 months for free, but I haven't hit redeem yet. So yeah, Fitness Plus launched yesterday. It's now taking up the full tab. This lady looking at you in the phone. Come on. They're just staring at me like, you're so fat. Come on. I haven't hit the start 3 months free button yet. But I kind of am disconnected and not really in touch with the whole pay for fitness thing, because I've done, I've done lots of mountain bike riding, and I've gone running, and I will do push-ups and sit-ups and sets and that kind of thing. Like I exercise occasionally from time to time, but I have never gotten on board with the idea of a membership to work out. Like I've never had a gym membership. I've never understood the point of a gym, because I'm just like, just do that stuff yourself. Like why do you need to pay someone else? Or some people I guess prefer the atmosphere of having a gym, though I guess in 2020 in the pandemic that's probably not a great business model to have. But some people I guess want the money coming out of their account so that they can be held accountable to working out, which is, I guess, kind of a mind trick. And that way Fitness Plus isn't really about making you healthy. It's about making you want to be healthy. So you pay money in return. But like, I don't really understand what Fitness Plus is offering that you can't just find from like YouTube videos. Like there are channels you can watch that will walk you through how to work out or how to start. And I don't understand exactly what you're paying for, because the information of how to start slow or how to stretch and how to do all that stuff, it's not that It's not that exclusive, in my opinion. I don't think they have some type of information about working out that you can't find elsewhere. So yeah, I guess all you're paying for is the Apple Watch integration. But Apple Watch can already track your workouts without. So are you paying $10 a month so that you can see your heart rate on the TV as you're working out? $10 a month for that? Like, I don't get the point. I don't really understand. Like, you can find those workout videos anywhere, or you can follow instructions on websites and different stuff. All that stuff is kind of free and easy to access. I don't think it's that different. I mean, you can track all your workouts on your watch. I've been doing it for years. When I go on my mountain bike rides, I start a workout. When I do my runs, I start a workout. Um, you can track all that information and see it. I just don't understand. That's $120 a year if you do monthly. I guess it's cheaper if you do it annually, but the Apple Watch integration, I just don't see it being worth it. But I think I'm just very disconnected from the pay for workout market. I just never understood that. I don't really understand how Peloton is so popular either. I've tried one before as a biker, and I went to a friend's house one time, I think, and they had a Peloton, and I got on it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I wonder how much it is. And I looked up the prices, and I was like, oh my God, holy crap, this is expensive. But people do that just so that they can bike in their own home, I guess. You can buy a really nice bike for less than a Peloton, let me tell you, as someone who actually rides mountain bikes on trails and things. Um, there is cheaper ways to do that, and you can be like outside and enjoy the great outdoors and breathe fresh air. I just don't understand that, but it's popular. A lot of people do it, and I think that's one of those things that I'm kind of the oddball out. I'm just kind of the weird guy who doesn't understand it. But same with Fitness Plus, though. I'm like, there. Okay, the Fitness Plus doesn't grant you access to any exclusive hardware. Like, I was watching a few of the videos, and they're like, so we recommend a yoga mat, or we recommend you have this chair. There's all these videos that are like, be near a chair, okay? Make sure you have a chair nearby. And these videos like, take this weight and hold the weight like this, and lift your weights like this. It's like Fitness Plus isn't providing any of that, which I guess is somewhat fair because it's way cheaper than a gym membership and it's way cheaper than Peloton. So I can bike up. I can bike in my house. Might mark up the floors though. You know, I know this may sound crazy. Maybe it's because I am accustomed to riding mountain bikes, but bicycles were made to transport you to different places. You don't have to just ride them in place. And I would say you work out probably a whole different side of your body when you're actually biking up a hill and navigating around rocks and ridges, and I have to go back and forth with the Peloton. From my understanding of it, let me go to the website right now just so I know what I'm talking about, because I'm definitely not an expert in this subject. But I guess if you're in a place where it rains a lot, maybe. But yeah, from what I'm seeing, it's pretty much just going to be you sitting in place on a level floor. Maybe you can adjust those. Yeah, I'm looking at the Peloton website in the video right now. You've got this giant screen in front of you. It's like a Tesla screen on a bike that doesn't go anywhere. But it's not going to be, this type of motion where your front end's coming up or your back end's going up, and you have different rocks and ridges. And that's normally when I get the most amount of cardio on a bike, is when I'm going uphill or something and taking myself up on a challenge. I don't get what Fitness Plus has that's exclusive, other than just, I guess, very enthusiastic people and the heart rate monitoring thing, which I'm sorry, I just don't see that as a $10 a month feature. I don't like you could still monitor your heart rate and track your fitness for free with the Apple Watch. It's probably cheaper to get liposuction. There's an idea. I don't know. I'm kind of going all against the grain, because I'm really, really sick of this whole subscription affliction thing, where like every company is trying to come up with their own subscriptions that chip away at your bank account 1 month at a time, and they're being very, very incremental about it. And I'm trying to cut out as many subscriptions as I can, which is not obviously helpful for this side of it. So if you wanted the Apple sheep to be super pumped for Fitness Plus, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm just like, there's great YouTube channels that do all of this same stuff for free. Paneer is saying Apple subscription services in general are a bad proposition. I think iCloud and maybe music might be the only acceptable ones. News Plus and Arcade are a joke. I would agree with News Plus. I feel like Arcade might have something if they tinker it a little bit more, but yeah, for the most part, it's hard to get excited about Apple with this because this is obviously a very safe route for them to go with. Tim Cook is obviously noticing that hardware sales are going to start tapering off and it's going to start plateauing, and the differences between iPhone upgrades year after year are going to get smaller and smaller, and hardware will not carry the business forever. Like, Apple's constantly trying to figure out what's going to kill our best-selling product, which currently is the iPhone. So they're trying to figure out, okay, what can we pivot our company to that will allow us to succeed in the long run? And services is, I guess, the safest bet because they can pitch them towards all of their pre-existing audience, which they have a huge consumer base of iPhone users and iPad users. And if they can pitch to them services that they can subscribe to, I mean, the services game right now is really, really popular. That's what a lot of companies are doing and making a ton of money off of, whether it be Amazon or Google services or Netflix, Disney Plus type things. You know, like, subscription services are the new big thing for a lot of companies, and that's where they're seeing major profits because people subscribe and then they forget they're subscribed and they don't utilize the services, and Apple or whoever gets to keep charging for them, and they end up making a huge profit. So Apple is probably just seeing that's the way the world is going, so we're going to go that way. And it's hard to get pumped for that because services are definitely way less exciting than eyeglasses or Apple Car or Apple getting into the camera business. You know, we want them to basically do more hardware, but all of those are going to be way more risky, way more overhead, and they're going to cost way more than Apple just buying up different movie studios and different TV shows and different movies and saying, okay, this is now a TV Plus exclusive. This is now an Arcade exclusive. This is now a Apple News Plus exclusive, and just sending money to different outlets and saying that you're ours now, this belongs to us, or that kind of thing. And now with Fitness Plus, it's just like, well, how do we get another pop-up? How do we get another alert that shows up in the fitness app with a low price point that says this can do something that allows you to work out and you'll be in shape, and these people are really enthusiastic as they're working out. You know, it's hard to get excited for. That's why I think the future of Apple is going to be a lot less interesting than the past of Apple, the history. I honestly want to know how many subscribers TV Plus has. That would be very interesting data, I think. I know Apple probably is not going to disclose that information because it's not that good, but yeah, I don't see it happening. Probably near zero, with TV Plus being extended free every once in a while. Well, we're coming up near the end of that because, you know, there was a bunch of people that got a free year when they bought a new iPhone last year, but I guess they still apply that to if you didn't buy an iPhone last year. Yeah, so it's probably very distorted at this point. I bet there's probably a good like 50 to 60% of TV Plus viewers are utilizing some free promotion. So we won't really know how many subscribers there are for a few years. I know we go back and forth on this, Brian, but they're not making a car. I'm sorry. We've gone down that road many times about how they let go a bunch of engineers from Project Titan, and Tim Cook has on the record said that they have less interest in the hardware themselves and more interest in full self-driving systems. There's no way they're not. Okay, let me pull up Tim Cook's quote. Tim Cook, FSD, full self-driving. I remember I did a video on this on EV recently because he made comments about it. Okay, Tim Cook quoted June 13th in 2017. Cook says, "We're not really saying from a product point of view what we'll do. Um, we see it as sort of the mother of all AI projects. Autonomy is something that's incredibly exciting for us, but we'll see where it will take us. We're not really saying from a product point of view what we'll do, but we're being straightforward that it's a core technology we view as very important. So if you're letting go of a bunch of Project Titan employees, I don't think that is evidence that you still plan on making your own car. What's more highly likely is Apple licensing out their software, similar to how they already let other automakers utilize CarPlay. They want to develop their own self-driving system that other car companies can buy from them. That way, Apple doesn't have to front any of the money it costs to build their own EVs, which is insanely expensive and very, very hard to make profitable. Tesla could barely do it. Other automakers are struggling to do it. So I think their goal is to sell software on vehicles, not make their own vehicles, because that's going to be too risky. Let's see. Do you guys know how Apple's return policy works online? Like if I request a return on the last day, will it still count? It will, but they'll probably ask you to mail it in within the week or so. I think that Apple did what they intended to with TV Plus, becoming the next HBO. While AT&T continues to run HBO into the ground, firing their best creative, making horrible decisions that are bad for their protective companies, Apple always there to swoop in, and they've had better results over the last year, while HBO's reputation has hit the toilet. I don't know how you can say they've had better results, though, because we literally have no clue how much Apple is actually making off of TV Plus. It's very possible that there's hardly anyone paying for it, and the only people using it are using their free year. Like, we really won't know. So we don't know, like, what Apple is hoping for is some smash hits that they buy the right original content and everybody loves it, so that's why they keep paying for it. But it's hard to say exactly what the numbers are for people that are just diehard fans of the morning show and diehard fans of For All Mankind, and also how many of those people are just utilizing the free year that came with their phone, and also how many people would keep paying for TV Plus if they decide to increase the price. It's way too early, and Apple's free year has thrown all data out the window to the point that it's very hard to know how well it's going to do in the first place. Um, Greyhound was a good hit for TV Plus. You can say that, but there's no proof. We don't. There's no evidence to back it up. It's impossible to know. Um, let's see. So are the Charlie Brown specials they bought rights to? Yeah, but now they're giving them all away for free. So it's it's not. That's what I mean. It's so distorted right now. We can't really have any data. You don't have to pay for TV Plus to watch the Charlie Brown stuff now, unless it's the original shows, which I don't know. Depending on who you ask, most of the Peanuts fans I know don't like the new stuff. They like the old cartoons, but it's hard to know. Car manufacturers hate the idea that big tech will control their software. I doubt that. I think a lot of them would rather. That's why a lot of them list CarPlay and Android Auto as a feature, because they know that sells well. And you know what? One of the top requested features for Teslas are CarPlay, and people know that, so they put it in their cars. Since you buy a lot of Apple products and once you're done with the reviews, you return them, why don't you just do that with every new Apple product, like the new Intel MacBook Air, new 2020 iMac came out? You could have bought them and reviewed them and returned them. I could, but I don't buy things that I don't feel like I have much to add on, similar to the HomePod Mini. It's not that I can't afford a $100 speaker. I very much could. I just don't think there's much to say about it. So I intentionally only buy things that I think will be interesting to get my perspective on, and I feel like I can give my feedback on. So if there's something like the Intel MacBook Air, what am I going to provide feedback on with that? I'll be like, okay, it's a little faster than the last one. Cool. So, yeah. I dare you to make a video on any device versus device, but the same way you did the iPad Pro versus Surface Pro 4, wearing sunglasses and being a WWE commentator. Yep. I've been subbed from quite a long time. That's the funny thing, because a lot of people love that video, and then a lot of people hated that video, and we're like, oh my God, Drew, never do this again. So I can tick off a bunch of people, and I can make a bunch of people happy, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I want the comedy style of the channel to just be do that again, do that again, do that again. Sometimes you want to try to find new territory, new genres. Be like, let me find something else that's also funny instead of just redoing what's already been done. Probably a lot of people wouldn't even remember that old video, so it would feel new. But yeah, I don't know. I would need two really interesting devices to compare to. Do you think the subscription model will somehow lead to ad-based revenue for Apple? Well, I mean, they kind of already do ad-based revenue through the App Store. There's a lot of ads on games. That's where Apple makes a ton of money from, through advertising. Same with the App Store, making sure your app shows up first in search results. There's a lot of ad-based revenue for Apple, but my concern is over time that Apple's going to convert everything into a subscription and then start trying to rope everybody into one where actually it's a better deal to get the iPhone on this subscription plan because then you get Arcade and News Plus and Fitness Plus, everything's included. So they're going to start basically pushing everybody towards a more monthly model instead of a one-time purchase model, which I'm not a fan of, but I think for the past few years, I've always said that's inevitable. That's where most products are going. In the future, you'll probably only be able to subscribe to iPhones and you won't be able to actually buy them outright anymore. It sucks. I hate that, but that's probably what it's going to be. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't think hiring the head of powertrains instantly means if they laid off like hundreds of employees from the project. And keep in mind, Apple hires all kinds of people and then they leave the company months later for different reasons. And um, they have patents on things that they never utilize. You know, the funny thing about this, the fact that you're convinced they're making a car is that back when the Project Titan was first announced, they said the car would be hitting streets in 2020. And now all the reports have changed and said, actually, it should be coming out in 2023, 2024. So my guess is by 2023, in 2024, they'll be saying, actually, the Apple car is coming in 2027. Like every 3 years, the deadline moves back further. Because I remember reading about it, and I did videos on it like, it was 200 people only. Well, they're not increasing hiring. They may have hired one guy, but I don't think that means the entire project is back online. They also have patents on pizza boxes, you know. There's all kinds of patents that don't mean anything. What was your favorite overall iPhone and experience? I'm not the type of guy that wants, that my favorite experience is the old iPhone that came out years ago. Pretty much every new iPhone is my favorite one. I don't really go back and be like, man, I wish more iPhones were like the 6. When I got the 6, that was the coolest thing ever. It's like, no, the 6 was cool. Then the 7 was cooler. Then the 10 was cooler. Then the 10s Max was even cooler. And then the 11 Pro Max was cooler. So I'm not fixed on some nostalgia iPhone, really. I just kind of like the next one as much as I can. I'm really loving the 12 mini, though I updated to iOS 14.3 and the bug of the swiping up to go home thing is back. So that's annoying. That's a recent thing. I just installed it yesterday. So when I first got the 12 mini, I had this bug where I would swipe up from an app to go home sometimes and the app would freeze and then or activate multitasking and then go back to the home screen. And then they updated it, I think, with iOS 14.2 and it fixed it. It went away and I didn't have the problem anymore. I was like, okay, cool, great. And now 14.3 is and it's back. So now I'm annoyed with it again. But for that time when the update was not there, it was perfect. Like the battery life has not been an issue for me. Very comfortable. The display is great. The camera still impresses me. I love the camera. So I'm just in love with this thing. And I'm worried that I'm going to fall in love with the smaller iPhone so much that I won't want to get a bigger iPhone in the future. But I don't know. I think size isn't that big an issue. I think people can get comfortable and I can get used to really any iPhone size if I need to. So yeah, I think the 12 Pro Max was fun to use and the 12 mini was fun to use. It's kind of like how I really enjoy the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but when I reviewed the 11-inch iPad Pro, I really enjoyed that too. So sometimes it's just different variety. It's like different flavors. It's like you can have two favorites in the discussion. Like Size isn't that big of an issue. No, what I mean by that is I can enjoy a 12 Pro. I can enjoy a max size phone and I can enjoy a compact phone. It's not that one is good and the other sucks. That's why I had the whole video. I'm torn between the two, is because they both had their pros and they both had their cons. It wasn't that one I was going to be miserable with and one I was going to be in love with. It was that I love both and I can't pick one. And I'm kind of in a similar boat with the iPad Pros. I really like the 11-inch form factor and I really love the 12.9-inch. So basically what I mean is 120 hertz is the one thing that'll pull me out of the mini. So if that's what the 12S or the 13 has next year, then that'll pull me out of loving the mini size. But I know it won't happen. But if for some miraculous reason there was a 120 hertz mini iPhone, then I would go with the mini because I'm really comfortable with this and I'm really digging it. So yeah, I don't really have like prior iPhones that I enjoyed more. Pretty much every year I enjoy them more than before. Let's see. iPhone XS is the least changed iPhone ever for an S model. It's the one time I actually don't get mad and laughed at iPhones don't change memes. What kills me about the iPhones don't change memes is how often they don't change. Like they use the same meme over and over again as they're complaining about lack of originality. So it's like all these memers are complaining that Apple isn't original and they don't have any new ideas, as you are reusing the same meme from 6 years ago because you're not original and you don't. It's just, I don't know. The meme in itself is very hypocritical to me, which is what annoys me, I guess. They're working on AR for cars. That's mainly hardware. I wouldn't say. I would say the AR for cars, augmented reality, is probably more of a software push, but Apple is, I'm sure, very much aware of the auto market and how saturated it is and what the overhead costs are and how expensive it would have to be to develop their own car design. They would be hiring way more than just one guy from the powertrain department. They would have to be hiring a huge ramp of people, and Apple has to be aware that if they wanted to enter the car business, they would be significantly behind everyone else in the EV industry out the gate, just for the fact that they haven't bought a factory already. They're already behind. If you truly believe that Apple is going to enter the car business, they are significantly behind everybody already. Yeah, the AR and windshields and stuff, you can do that with licensing. That's what Sony's trying to do. Sony made a car specifically not to be mass produced. They just made it so that they could show to other automakers that their technology can be used in an automobile, which you can license from Sony, their cameras, their displays, and that kind of thing. So Apple hasn't even made that. So we can go as far as to say that Sony is ahead of Apple in the electric vehicle market, and they're not even mass producing that thing. Just for the fact that they don't have a location picked out for a factory, in my opinion, is proof that they're so far behind the automotive business that it would be kind of pointless to attempt to enter it. The best case scenario I would give is Apple buying out an EV startup. That I could see happening. If they let some other company with their capital and their money decide we're going to start an EV brand like Lucid. Lucid probably would fit with Apple's design aesthetics and mentality the best. But Lucid fronts all the money. They take all the risk. They build out a factory. They start an assembly line. They start producing vehicles and delivering them to consumers. And then maybe at some point along the way, once Lucid is operational and buying a bunch of batteries and materials from supply chains and producing them, and they realize, oh, crap, we're not very profitable. We can't make that much money. Maybe we should be bought out by some big tech company, kind of like how Amazon is keeping their eye on Rivian very closely. I don't want them to get bought out, but I feel like it's somewhat likely because of how much investment Amazon is giving and how much Rivian's supply chain is going to be tied up with delivery vans. Similar to that relationship, if Apple entered the Lucid market and just said, hey, you guys need money to expand and we like your cars because they're luxurious and fancy and very well built. So we're going to buy Lucid and then incorporate Apple type software, and Apple's self-driving team can cooperate with Lucid's self-driving team. And so I could imagine a partnership like that. But what I'm telling you isn't going to happen is Apple developing their own car from the ground up using no one else's tech and just custom build it, like really same way they would release AirPods, the same way they'd release an Apple Watch. Buying out someone else, maybe, but that's still a big maybe, because I'm guessing Apple wants to see how these other startups can perform first. It's Apple's not going to make a $25K car, I can guarantee you that. Very complex donated 20 bits. Remember when Dyson made an EV? I think I do, but I thought that was mainly baloney, because they said that they made up some kind of drastically fake numbers about it. They were like, "Oh yeah, our EV is gonna go 600 miles on a charge," and I was like, "Sure, sure, Dyson, yeah, I bet it did, and I bet it could fly too, and I bet it cured cancer." But they only unveiled it and showed off the design to the world um, after it was canceled, right? Didn't Dyson come forward with it? And they're like, "So we're not going to continue the EV project, but here it is." It's like, we just wanted you guys to know we made one. It's not coming, but we made one once, which was cool. And it had the best specs of any EV in the world, but we can't make it. So it's kind of the Nicola Badger situation all over again. Is an iPad Pro overkill for just media consumption? Depends on your budget. I mean, if you have that kind of disposable income, I would say the iPad Pro is just great from a average user, but just for the fact that it has Face ID and great sounding speakers. Like, I don't think you have to be like a architectural student, or you don't have to be a video editor or something pro to get an iPad Pro. Like, um, you can use it just for media consumption. And enjoy it. I watched a lot of movies and TV shows on it, and the speakers are great, and the display is great. A lot of people rip on the LCD panel for the backlight thing, but I really don't see it as that big an issue. Like, it's not. It's really. I don't know. I just think the detail is great, and the 120 hertz is awesome, whether or not you need it for drawing or anything. I just think it's not overkill if you can comfortably afford it. If you have $1,000 in your bank account and you want to buy an iPad for media consumption, yeah, maybe don't drain your entire savings on it, but yeah, I think it's cool. Um, don't see batteries matching Patrol for energy density anytime soon. You don't have to match the energy density of Patrol. You just have to beat the efficiency of Patrol, which is very easy to do. The main issue with batteries is not energy density, more so than it is cost. If you can drastically lower the price of batteries, you don't need the energy density of Patrol. You can just achieve gas car-like range for a fraction of the price of a gas car. That's when gas cars are dead. Yeah, like Patrol has a bunch of energy density, but it's all wasted. It's all being pumped out into CO2 that goes out the back of the vehicle that doesn't really help you propel. I mean, energy density in batteries is getting much, much better, but that's only one part of the equation of replacing gas cars. That's only one part of it. It's not the whole picture. If you can get what Tesla is pitching, which is in a few years from now, like Tech Fanboy talking about it, they say they're going to make a $25,000 car that can go nearly 300 miles on a charge. And given you can plug in from home, and that's 95% of driving, that's what a lot of people are looking at as the death of the combustion engine for at least consumer cars. For semi trucks and pickup trucks is probably a little bit different, but I believe they'll do it because if you look back at what Tesla said they were going to do, sometimes they're a little bit late, but for the most part, they've pretty much done all the things, especially when it comes to price points and range and those types of specifications. If you want to talk about full self-driving and robo-taxis, sure, that's a constantly moving goalpost, and the deadlines on those have been very dated. But when it comes to battery technology and reaching range and price points, Tesla's been very spot on. I mean, they said the Model 3 would come out at the end of 2017, and then they said the entry level model would be around $35,000, and they pretty much did it. It's a little bit off, but they pretty much achieved that. And a lot of people said that it wasn't going to be doable or it wasn't going to be profitable or there's no way Tesla can do it. And they pretty much did it. So it might not be exactly 25K, but if it ends up being 27K, I still think that's pretty amazing achievement considering how much cheaper it's going to cost to operate than a gas vehicle. So, yeah, I think they'll do it. They said 3-ish years, so my guess would be launch maybe around 2023. Maybe they'll unveil it in 2022, but we don't know what it looks like. We don't know what the design is. Maybe that plays into effect with the price point and that kind of thing. But yeah, I believe they'll do it. Just like a lot of the specs were generous with the Model 3 unveiling and the Model Y. Drew buys a Cybertruck, only has 60 hertz, drops big metal ball on the windows, but it won't go through. I hate when people review $1,000 laptops and tablets and say it's fine if you do basic things like web browsing and media consumption. Why would I pay $1,000 for something as good as a Chromebook? Well, I mean, it's a little different from that because some people want something with a really good battery life and they want it to have decent speakers and they want it to have updates and good build quality. And, there's something that goes into that, I guess. But, a MacBook Air is very popular. And until before the M1 chip came out, it probably wasn't that good for much else than web browsing and basic media consumption. But, let's see. Apparently there's a few Ys with 4680 cells here in the Bay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are prototypes, if I read correctly that tweet. I think I read that tweet as well. Someone was saying that Tesla's messing around with the 4680 cell design already, which I think I don't think they would just start selling those. I'd start incorporating them. That would be interesting. Oh, Elon just tweeted 18 minutes ago. He said, Giga Berlin Brandenburg will be the first to use our new structural pack architecture, 4680, world's most advanced cells made on site, both front and rear body castings and advanced paint shop warning. With so much new technology, production timing is naturally harder to predict. So not too much new information there, but he is reconfirming. Well, he is saying world's most advanced cells made on site. So, I mean, that's pretty... yeah, that's pretty much proof that they plan on building those batteries there in the not too distant future. Let's see. Wait if you can. If you're not buying it now, then get the Pro Air is a much better deal. Oh, you're talking about iPads? I can't tell. This conversation goes way back. Chromebooks are pretty crappy, to be honest, at least in my experience. Even the cheap ones. It's like, yeah, you can use Chrome, and then they die in a year. And the battery sucks, and the display's not great, and they're made of plastic, and if they get dropped once, they're basically dead. Dude, the other day, we watched Everybody Loves Raymond on our old 2009 MacBook Pro, and we watched it in bed, and I took the laptop off the bed because it was late at night, and we were like, okay, let's just go to sleep. So I laid the laptop on the floor, and the next morning I got out of bed and I literally stepped on it. Like, I don't mean like I felt it with my foot. Like, I literally put weight into the step and I didn't realize it. And I got off the bed with my left foot right on the MacBook Pro. And then I just hear this crack sound. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And I realized, oh shoot, I put the MacBook right there. And I got really, really scared. It actually turned on, like the fan started kicking in. I don't know why it turned on when I stepped on it, but it did. And I was like, oh no, what did I just do? So I picked it up and I opened it and it's perfectly fine. Still works. 11 years later, almost 12 years later. And that thing has been dropped on tile. I watched it once a few years back. There was this time it was put on, I think it was like a hamper or something, and it was under the TV stand, and we were pulling it out from the TV stand, and the little bottom lip of the TV stand pulled the MacBook off the hamper and then hit the tile floor. This was at our old house. This was a few years back. And that super duper heavy laptop just slapping that tile is the loudest, most cringe-worthy noise. Oh, I was so scared. I was like, and I was like, oh, no. And then we opened it. It's fine. It still works. It's incredible. That thing is a tank. That thing is a beast. So I can't be that heavy. If I can step on a MacBook Pro from 11 years ago and it doesn't break, must be pretty light, right? Chromebooks are good for elementary schools. We used to use them for the Google Suite of apps, and it was solid. They were dropped a couple times, and they were perfectly fine. My dad, who runs a charter school, has different stories than you because they got Chromebooks, and he said kids go through them all the time. They drop them and they break, and whereas their iPads they buy for the kids, they last forever. They will take several drops and won't do anything. Chuck the Mac Pro against the Cybertruck, a supernova will occur. That's insinuate. Do you think the Mac Pro is super durable or something? Because I haven't heard that argument been made. Can you make a cinematic unboxing of the AirPods Max instead of a live one? Just a question. Can I? Yes. Should I? That's a better question. If we're going for cinematics, I'm always going to lose compared to other YouTubers that have more fancy camera equipment and different lighting and $3,000 lenses. I'm not going to be able to make better cinematic shots than they are, but can I make a funnier unboxing than they can? Maybe. That's something I might have to my advantage. So I should be getting AirPods Max today, but I probably won't unbox them today because most likely if UPS delivers when they normally deliver, then it's going to be late in the... Yeah, it's out for delivery now, but it's only been out for delivery for 10 minutes. And normally we get our UPS packages pretty late in the day. So my guess is I won't be able to unbox it today. But I will get it today and then first thing tomorrow. Do you think Tesla will come out with a normal-looking Tesla for the people who don't want something that looks like a spaceship? Not really, because Tesla's problem isn't demand. If they were working on something to try to appeal to more people just by design, they would be trying to combat the demand issue. Whereas they don't have a demand problem at all. In fact, the memo Elon Musk recently sent out sounds like they have the exact opposite problem. They have an overwhelming number of people ordering their cars, and they literally cannot build them fast enough to the point that demand is not the issue. So the bigger problem Tesla is facing, which is why they had Battery Investor Day, is they can't build the cars fast enough, and they can't make enough batteries. So that's where most of their focus is going. It's not working on making a normal looking truck or a normal looking car or interiors that are more traditional. That's not their focus because that's not the problem. Other car companies can do that. Ford is, I'm sure, going to release an electric F-150. They've confirmed it. They're going to release one that looks probably very similar to a normal F-150 unless they put the Mustang branding on it, because I guess if it goes fast, it's a Mustang, right? Ford F-150 Mustang edition, because the Mach-E is fast. That means it's a Mustang, right? Yeah, I don't know. But there are plenty of legacy automakers that can make normal-looking electric trucks. Tesla doesn't need a division that needs to work on making normal-looking trucks. They can let other companies do that. Their focus is making batteries cheaper in a cost-effective manner and scaling them to a massive extent because if Tesla wants to do the types of things they say they're going to do, which is, 20 million vehicles by 2030, 20 million vehicles produced a year by 2030, it's going to take a massive, massive amount of restructuring to battery production and scaling that production to an extreme size. Like, they want Giga Berlin to eventually produce 250 gigawatt hours a year, which is at this point more than all battery factories on Earth combined. And they want one factory to match that or exceed that. And that's only going to be one tiny piece of the puzzle because they're hoping by 2030 they can build 3 terawatt hours of batteries. So, extremely high amounts of battery production. That's where their attention is dedicated. I knew Mike would love that F-150 Mustang comment. Could you tell what light do you use, the one that's on your left? It's nothing fancy. It's just something from Amazon that was cheap called Crafty. Oh, it doesn't have the logo on the side. I can't really say they're great. I mean, the wiring on them is fraying a little bit, so it's spelt CRAPHY, so it's kind of like crappy light systems. But they were cheap and they came with a bundle on Amazon, and they work okay. I'm no lighting expert, so don't take my recommendations. But I mean, I just needed some lights that were cheap. We answered that. Do you think they should introduce a 16-inch that is more affordable? Right now, the 16-inch is only targeted as a high pro machine, but there are people that want a large screen laptop with I/O but more affordable. Yeah, I think that it has something to do with when you make a laptop of that size, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put weak components in it because a lot of the money that it costs, like the larger sized display panel and the larger size battery and the larger chassis, which usually involves those larger speaker grills and that kind of thing, that already bumps up the price a lot. So if you put weak components in it, it just becomes a very expensive, weak, crappy laptop. So it probably just doesn't make a lot of financial sense to, but if there was a way to do it affordably, yeah, I would obviously. I'd be in favor. We've been talking about it for years. I remember in 2015 we were saying, wouldn't it be nice if they made a like, what's it called, uh, like a MacBook Air in the 15-inch configuration, like thin and narrow, but at the same time, uh, more affordable and with a huge screen. If someone wants something that's not super power hungry, but here we are 5 years later. It never really happened, but I don't know if I'll stream the unboxing tomorrow. I can't decide if I want to do that live or if I want to edit a video, but we'll see, I guess. I feel like an iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard is still better for an average user compared to the MacBook Air. Average user is very vague, so it's hard to say what would be better. But I guess the MacBook Air would be cheaper, to be honest. So they would save money in that regard. But iPad Pro is probably a lot more fun to use for gaming and the accelerometer and the cameras and that kind of stuff. Oh, you're making a tribute to me. Interesting. Hit me with the links for that when they come out. I'd be curious. Thank you. Anyways, I know this is a little bit shorter, but I think I'm gonna cut it close because I'm gonna be taking next week off, but I'm gonna be making videos that come out while I'm off, so I'm gonna have to work a little bit longer today to make sure that videos can come out while I'm taking my vacation. But anywho, I appreciate all the Twitch primes and the bits, guys. You're all awesome. Expect some more videos to come out. Actually, one should drop right after this, so stay tuned. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.